Okay. Okay. How are you doing this morning or afternoon, I should say?
It's been busy and eventful, but it's good. You?
Good. It's been pretty good. I started my morning early, so I've been outside. That's why I'm saying outside. I like to sit outside. So
It's a good idea. I should do that today. Maybe I'll do that for my next thing.
yeah. Well, I'm in Sacramento, so it feels kind of nice out here today.
Oh, same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you at in Sacramento, if you don't mind me asking?
Right now I'm in Elk Grove, so I'm like down the street from Elk Grove High School.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give it a couple minutes just to see if people come in.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'm from North Highlands, but right now I'm living in Del Paso Heights.
Mm.
So I'm right across the street from Grant High School.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I used to live, what is that school? I used to live down the street from Christian Brothers.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I
that's,
have
yeah.
God brothers and sisters go there.
Yeah, I went to Sac High, so.
Okay. Estem, welcome.
Hey, y'all. So we're gonna still give it a couple more minutes for like more people to come in, and then we'll get started.
Where y'all joining us from? Are y'all in Chico?
Yeah.
In Chico.
I am, yes.
Nice.
Same here. Yeah, I'm on campus. I'm at UV.
Yeah, we were just talking about how we're in Sacramento.
Yeah, both of us. I wish I had like jazz music to play outside. It's usually what we play like when we had like faculty, like at the Star Center, we had like jazz music going in the background, and like the smell of the tea and the coffee, like it was just like a nice environment. I wish we can be on campus again.
Right? Yeah, I'm missing the environment. All of it.
Yeah. The whole atmosphere was just, I don't know. I miss campus.
Yeah, same. I'm sure a lot of us are in the same boat.
Yeah. Like our little hallway where it's like the CCLC, the Dream Center, MCGS, the Star Center, and the one right next to us. Travel Relations. Yeah. I was trying to remember the name. I knew it was there, but I didn't want to say the wrong name.
Yeah, I miss walking into people in the hallways and having really good conversations, and instead of like always like setting up meetings or like, over email, it's kind of nice just to chat with somebody real fast in the hallway or see what's up. Or
I feel like with emails, you have to type the whole email, and then you have to wait for the response, and then you have to respond back, and it's like, this is a 5-minute conversation in person.
Right? I feel that. And then you got to read it.
Right.
Our reading has like tripled. Yeah.
Definitely. You have to be super professional in the email, whereas like you can just be casual in person.
Mhm.
But yeah, I miss campus. So we'll go ahead and get started, and then if more people come in, we'll just, introduce ourselves again, or I will reintroduce everybody. So my name is Liliana, and I am a paraprofessional for the Women of Excellence program through the Star Center. And this is faculty. And today we have Vanessa. I don't want to mispronounce your last name. So, if you would like to introduce yourself and let us know what department you work with and kind of what you do on campus, and then we'll get started with the questions.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you, Liliana. Hestam, Natoya Vanessa Escobedo, ni Noramak Hefork Choki Ambus. My name is Vanessa Escobedo. I am an enrolled member of the Noramak Wintu Nation. I'm also part Hoopa and Chicana. So my tribal nation is actually located in Hayfork, California, and in Northern California, up in Hoopa. I'm also Chicana, and this is my first official year at Chico State, so that's super dope. Last year I was a visiting professor, so I was in this weird limbo of like not really faculty, but kind of faculty, and then I get paid more now, so that's good.
There's that
Family,
too.
like, thank you for paying me. So I am an assistant professor, tenure track hire in multicultural and gender studies, but under the American Indian Studies program. And yeah, I'm really excited to be here. I hinted around a bunch that I wanted to be on faculty last year, so I was like, I got invited this year. I was super excited.
Yeah.
Like Liliana was saying, like I really wish it could have been on campus, but this is also really awesome to continue the vibe, across the web. We still long for things being normal-ish as much as we can. So I'm really glad that y'all are still continuing with faculty and the 30 under 30.
Nerdy under 30.
30 under 30. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know it's a lot of work. So good job, y'all. It's fantastic. I'm really happy to still see these programs being offered and
Yes.
continue.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So we can jump into the question. So the first question is, how have you had to adapt to be able to teach your courses this semester?
A lot of adapting. Like we were kind of talking about before, even just small responses turn into huge email formats. And so I think that for my classes in general, I teach the American Indian Studies classes, but also the Introduction to Multicultural and Gender Studies, is that their reading went up double pretty much if I'm writing out all my exams, trying to figure out how to post things. So I try to do a lot of videos. I try to find other ways of engaging the students. I try to use a bunch of YouTubes and again, like I said, make my own videos, but trying not to just write out everything word for word and double up on the reading. So a lot of my format in general has changed. Although I would really appreciate the discussion here or have feedback from y'all, because I'm still learning too. People who are watching this, everyone's still learning. And
Yeah.
especially on the Zoom, everything's new. Everything's an experiment. This is an experiment. None of us have ever been fully online 1,000% in this way, in this capacity. And so, we are hitting bumps. We got a lot of conflicting responses about, hey, should we make our classes asynchronous? Should we make them, synchronous? Which means that we have our students still show up during times, or should we just throw it all on the internet and they kind of go at it when they can? And I heard half students say, oh no, I really want conversation. And I heard half students say, oh yeah, no, I'm good. So, for my class, and I'll talk about this one specifically, my Introduction to Native American Studies class. And sorry, I talk really fast. I get excited, so I'll slow down.
Okay.
I decided to do it like kind of half and half. So I had, out of the two classrooms that times we were supposed to meet, we only meet one time a week and the rest of it's online. But I have everyone show up with their cameras off. I have no engagement. So I think adapting is one thing that I can also do in the middle of the semester and reevaluate. And I think that's something that's really important, kind of getting the feedback from the students. Some students really enjoy the conversation, but other students are struggling to get through it all. And I think that one of the biggest things about me learning about all of this is to not take it personally. Like, it's not because they don't like my content. It's because, students are struggling to get through. I mean, the political climate right now, we are on the verge of the election. We are,
We
our anxieties are extremely high. We have, well, and real concerns, you know, the pandemic, the fires. So really trying to figure out ways of,
life.
yeah, life, and trying to figure out my classroom, but also in the way of like not taking it personal, and then also trying to adjust to, by not just say like, this is what we're doing. Like that's not helping anybody. So what do you all think? Like, how have you adjusted to kind of coming onto Zoom classrooms and everything online now? So if we can get some conversation going,
Yeah.
love it.
I'll share first. So I know one thing that I do to excuse me, to kind of help with like being on Zoom classes is I sit outside. Like I've done it a lot for like our work meetings, staff meetings, for faculty in some of my classes. I'm like, let me go sit outside because I'm already inside most of the time. And then like with the pandemic, I don't travel as much as I used to. So like any opportunity that I can use to get outside, I will do that because I'm like, I need the sunlight. We're about to lose another hour of sunlight. And I'm like, let me just go outside. Let me just enjoy outside. And the weather is finally starting to cool down. So it's been it's been pretty decent. But sitting outside is probably like my number one thing to help me with like Zoom because my anxiety gets like really high when I'm like, okay, I have a psychology class today and then I have biology right after and then I have a work meeting and then I have an exam and I'm like, there's so many things and I'm like, I can't handle it. So let me go give some of my energy from the sun.
Mhm. I really like that. I need to actually take that advice a lot. So anybody else? How have you been dealing with being online or adjusting?
I could go. My name is Jawan. Uh, I would say it's been, I think, especially as a student leader on campus, and we have work and school. I get a lot of Zoom fatigue and tiredness. But I think Lily hit on it. Just going outside, separating your workspace from your home space, is key because when you just land in your bed, it's just like, you could just stop doing whatever you're doing. And, so I've been taking that time just to go on campus and just knock out my homework and things like that. Um, but yeah, just really separating your home from your workspace.
Yeah, I think that's really smart.
Mhm.
Anybody else?
For me, something new that I've been doing is I've actually been visiting campus since they have like little study areas, just because like some of the students relate with. Also, I work for the school and I do extracurricular with the school as well. And it's very hard to try to, separate my work and my student life. I always, I don't know where the balance is as if we were on campus, it's different because we're in different places. Like we know where work starts and ends, and we know where like your student life starts and ends. Whereas here in my room, everything is just all over the place. So trying to try to figure out that for campus, I go for all my classes, and then here in the room, it's just all my work stuff, I guess.
Yeah, I like that. Really trying to keep it like separated in a way. I know that that's extremely hard to do. So when we're able to do those things, it really helps. Yeah, right now I have like a diffuser going on. I've been burning a lot more incense than I've ever had in my life, but trying to get like in a way trying to get myself to de-stress through like aromatherapy. Not like that sounds like a lot smarter than I think. I don't know nothing about aromatherapy, but having like lavender and like eucalyptus is helping me. I know nothing about what that actually does, so I don't want to sound like I'm but that's something that I've really enjoyed kind of keeping in rotation in my office space of kind of also pushing out the stale air of being inside all the time. But yeah, no, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I used to get a lot of migraines when we first went online because looking at the computer screen for so long was really bad. So I've started like, I just have all these little toys in front of me that I'll just like play with. Like you'll see me looking down or like trying to doodle or something just to like not stare at the screen the whole time and or stare at myself and be like, oh, I need to fix my hair, all of that kind of thing. So just little things to fidget with has been really good.
Yeah, they keep calling me out because I bought a new mouse pad, but it came with a wrist, like for your keyboard. But what I've now done is continually like play with it in meetings. Like it's distracting. I don't know. They make fun of it. It looks like a maxi pad. I'm like, oh great, whatever. No. But anyways, maybe I should get some little like things to distract myself with. But yeah, no, definitely. It actually does kind of release some stress to kind of fidget with things instead of just being so in front of the screen.
Yeah. I want like the at the Star Center we have like a whole bunch of like different games and stuff that we play with. And so there's one where it's like you have to try to get the little like the silver ball into like the middle, but it's like a maze and you have to like turn it certain ways. And that's what I used to do. Like I used to do that during like meetings or like during programs. I would do that so that I could like stay focused, but like my mind is not going a million miles per hour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of like take your mind off some things real fast and focus on
Mm.
something else and then kind of come back.
Yeah,
That's
and then come
important.
right back. Yeah. Um, the second part of that question, I feel like we kind of answered. It was, what things do you do to keep your mind off Zoom or work? Um, and so mine just kind of like staying outside. Yesterday, I didn't do anything. I didn't do any work. I didn't do any homework, and I was in San Francisco the whole day.
Oh, nice.
And it was a really nice day in San Francisco. It was kind of looked like this blue skies. It wasn't too cold. And so just to be able to like walk around and just relax and not even worry about school or homework or work, it felt good.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to just get out in nature. I love nature. Nature, nature, nature. That's all I care about. And so anything to help me get my mind off Zoom and work is always going to be like nature related.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah, I feel like, and I know that Marvin, you've also expressed this like Zoom fatigue as well, and I'm sure we're all experiencing that too. But the way that Zoom allows us, like air quotes, like harsh air quotes, allows us to be more available than we really are. So for example, I often use that I teach from like 5 to 8 p.m. on Mondays. I have a 3-hour seminar class, which is like a upper division 400 level class, and it's fantastic. But the thing is, though, if we were in person, I would come to class or I would come to campus, like let's say around 4 p.m. But now because people work 9 to 5, I'm working in all these Zoom meetings starting at 8 to 9 a.m. and then going to 8 p.m. Like, and that's not healthy. And that's so I think that for me, trying to find ways to separate those things, putting things in my calendar. Um, and not saying like this is my writing time, because people, if they see that it's writing time, they'll kind of like still come in and put meetings in, but say like meeting, just writing meeting. So like, no, this time's blocked off. Like I actually can't make those things, and I'm really trying hard to stick to those, and not saying that I'm perfect in any of those ways, because I definitely allow myself to be sucked into the machine of capitalism, right? You're based on your production, and you're valued in your production. Like how much do you produce, and then that's how much you're valued in our society, which is shit. So I'm gonna be really real. So the thing is, though, is really trying to save some of myself for that, and I also need to be better. I need to be better with that, and really standing strong with those blocked off times. So last week I did a harsh blocking off the time to go see my dad, and it was really nice. Like I didn't feel like I still felt like I was kind of missing something because people were talking about other meetings, but I was like, no, I'm actually blocking this time off so I can go see my dad. And it actually felt really nice to go see my dad and be with my dad. What I need to do is turn off my notifications off my iWatch, off my phone. So I'm still not, so I can truly be present in places, because I know I'm not fully there. Because still being at my dad's house, I was still getting emails, still getting things on my phone. And so I think for me, I need to take a step further and really like turning off notifications or putting the timer on it. Because last night I got an email at 10 p.m. and I was sitting there in my bed reading it. Why? I can't tell you why. I mean, I think I probably know why, right? But at the same time of like really trying to put some harsher boundaries on what time I will be available for the university.
Definitely. Because it's hard to separate, like since we're at home and it's like, we're like, oh, well, now like I have time to do this. But you're like, but if I was on campus if I didn't do it on campus and I went home for the day, that's it. I'm not going to worry about it until the next day. But because we're home, we're like, oh, I guess I can open this one. But then opening one email leads to you opening all the other ones and responding to all of them. And then you're like, well, if I started this, then I can do this one. And it just takes up more time of your day. And then you spend another 2 hours on Zoom.
And then our responsibility to these meetings, right? Because as BIPOC, as Black, Indigenous peoples, people of color on this campus, we're on a very white campus. If we're not in some of these meetings, if I'm not trying to lead up some of these committees, I know that my voice will not be represented. It's going to be gone. And so I feel this really weird attachment to like trying to continue representation, although is that at my own taxation. And so trying to recognize I cannot change everything and still being able to have those boundaries, even though I still want to be in all of these places. I do feel like this extra cultural tax of, you know, if I'm not there, who's going to represent people of color? So that's also something that I'm trying to give myself permission of letting that go. So
Yeah.
I can totally agree with that. I just I just never like actually found like the words into like saying like I always meet with like my advisors and everything, and I always tell them everything that I'm doing. And there was like, why are you doing so much? Like you're adding even more things to your plate. And I've never actually found like why. And I guess like that, like your answer kind of like, you know, explain to me on why I do it. Because I don't even know why, you know, like I always get asked to be a part of this, to come and speak for this, or to, you know, be a part of these student panels, you know, and I am always saying yes, yes, but I never actually, you know, like I never say no. And I feel like that's a really big struggle because I always catch myself, oh, I need to be over here and then I need to be over here at the same time. And since Zoom makes it so easy for people to assume that we can be all over the place, I always have like last minute little meetings where it throws me off whole schedule and I have to be there because it's either part of something that's very important. But I don't know, it's just, I can totally agree with that.
Yeah, no, I signed up for 3 panels today, and I signed up for faculty first. Y'all was first. Y'all asked me a month in advance, so thank you.
I was on it.
And then I got a bunch of things like last week, like, oh, hey, can you jump on this? And I was like, oh, yeah, sure, sure. And then I look at my Tuesday, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But it's important though, too. So,
yeah.
Can I jump in on that note, which I can really, especially Marvin, when you say that feeling of like not saying no. And then when it comes time to take care of yourself, I'm just like totally depleted. I have nothing left for me. How do we keep that from, how do I like find a little bit of energy left at the end of the day to serve me? How do we do that?
I think we just have to, and I say this for everything, we have to recognize the problem first. And then once we recognize it, then we can start to fix it. So now that all 7 of us have recognized that we do the same thing, that we can start to work on it and fix it. Or, you know, I mean, sometimes it doesn't need to be fixed, or I'm going to say work on it. We can start to work on it to figure out ways to, you know, and maybe we don't have to say no, but maybe we can say like, let's work on it another time, or let's, you know, get back to me tomorrow when I have more time to think about it, you know. I say that for everything. So
I like those. I need like some canned responses like that. Thank you so much for considering me. This is a great project. Good luck. Gotta go.
good luck. Yes.
No, I definitely need those in my back pocket as well. One time I said, oh, I can't do it this week. I'm too busy. They're like, we'll push it back next week. I was like, shit, I couldn't.
Didn't want to do it at all.
I was like, my capacity is here. And so I was like, okay, well, that means I need to have stronger language when I say that actually I do not have, like, say those things. Like, I do not have capacity right now to give it the full attention it deserves.
And I feel like it's so hard to say no through email.
It is.
Or like on Zoom, whereas like in person, like, because I used to like when I would ask Malcolm for like help, or like, you know, can I do X, Y, and Z, and he would just say like no real quick, like, no, we can't do that, or, no, that's not going to work, or like, get back to me tomorrow and we'll figure it out. And it was like, okay. And then I would move on to the next thing. But like, it's like, I feel like with emails or Zoom, it's like awkward because on Zoom, you're sitting there. And so like you say no, and then you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna go now. And then you have to like press leave meeting, and then email, you have to wait for their response. And it's so like, so weird. It's hard to say no through online all the time.
Yeah, and for me specifically, my bosses, I skip that whole emailing thing. I either go straight to calling or straight to FaceTiming. I don't know, Mariana, because
I
I
love
did
it.
the same thing to Mariana
It's
because
so much
I
better. Because
hate
immediately I'm
waiting
always
on
like, hold
responses.
on.
Yeah, I just hate waiting on responses because, like, if we were in person, we wouldn't have to, sit down and type out this whole email and make it sure it sounds really good. And I just hate that. I'd rather just go straight into emailing or like, calling someone and getting a response right then and there, regardless if it's a yes or a no, just
Right.
so I know not to be waiting on a response. Because a lot of other either faculty or another like, professional, they have other emails to respond to, and maybe they push my email down and you're waiting on it, and you hear back the next day and it was a no.
Right.
So that's what I don't like. I hate that about emails.
Really real. Yeah, no, I've been doing a lot of work on AB 1460, and I'll probably talk about that in a little bit because I got so much tea to spill about that. I talk about that for another hour. But anyways, sometimes emailing like across campuses. So now I'm emailing all of ethnic studies departments, or I'm emailing like, and I reread those emails like 17 times. So now I've spent, or maybe I would have had more help on the email, like doing it with a couple other people or something in the room with me. But now, yeah, I'll sometimes for those emails, because I get so nervous, will take me like an hour or 2 hours to get this email done. And I'm just like, okay, was that productive? Probably not.
Was that productive?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next question we have for you is, how do you compartmentalize and not take your work home when you work from home?
So instantly when I read this question, I thought of the meme I seen and probably like the first month of the pandemic. And it said, you don't work from home, you live at work. And I was like, damn. And it's like one of the memes that you like scroll by, but then you kept thinking about like, man, I should have marked that one, or like took a screenshot of it. Cause then it just,
Yes.
then like a week later, I'm like, oh, this one just, it just kind of like got me. And I kind of keep thinking about it. And now it's been months since I've seen this dang thing. And I think about it all the time that I live at work. And it's so true. I do feel like I have allowed myself to spiral into it. And I want to act like I don't have all the answers to any of these, like, perfect things or perfect answers to these things, because parts of me have really been struggling with this. And I think that's something that I like to be really honest with my students about. So when I first come into classrooms and stuff, I ask them how they're doing. I tell them how I'm doing. And I think that, I hope that with me leading with honesty, like we can all come to a better place of understanding than, how are you doing? Oh, good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not okay.
We're not okay.
Okay to not be okay.
Yeah, and that's okay to say those things. And so sometimes when I actually get the feeling from my class of them really telling me how they're feeling, we can adjust the assignments, we can adjust the readings, we can do these things. But when everyone's like, we're fine, like it doesn't help, because then later next week, and I realized no one turned anything in last week. I'm like, okay, so let's reevaluate. I'm not here to fail people. Like I'm here to educate and to like help, not to be a punishment for, taking this class. And so I think that how I separate those things, I think we talk a little bit more, is also not allowing the university to separate me and my family. I am home. My daughter is 7. She doesn't understand. I'm not going to tell her she has to sit outside of my office door for 8 hours. Like that doesn't work. And I know it's funny because also in the beginning of the pandemic, I've seen a lot of like blog posts of people posting like, oh, well, be professional and do all these things. And I'm like, excuse you. Like, I live in a multi-generational household. I actually just moved out of my mom's house into another house. And so when I had my mom there too, she was kind of popping in saying, hey, you know, or asking me things. And I can't be like, I'm at work, do not come in this door. Like that doesn't work. And I don't want to make my family feel that way. And so when my daughter pops in and wants to sit on my lap during a Zoom, I allow her. I think she's actually busy now. I haven't heard her. So I might probably go check on her. No, she was doing her PE. But the thing is though, is that, you know, I don't want to make her feel like she can't come in and talk to me at any moment, or these things. So I also allow that for my students. Like, hey, if you're watching, you know, your younger siblings, or you're taking care of your parents, like, you know, like, don't feel like you need to explain that, or you feel ashamed about that. Like, we would be at home otherwise. So it's fine. So I try to create space around that. My daughter had a meltdown during one of my presentations one time. That was fun. And I was like, I'm not going to apologize.
Right. You shouldn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a good thing, is that you like allow your students to, you know, feel like they don't have to apologize for things like that happening. Because I mean, like you said, we're like at home. Otherwise, we like this wouldn't happen if we didn't have to be on Zoom, like, you know, but this is, you know, what we're presented with in the cards that we have. So, you know, I don't think anybody should have to apologize for, you know, somebody popping in on us while we're in a Zoom meeting, or um, in class. You know, this is our life now,
Exactly.
and we shouldn't have, like you said, we shouldn't have to. And I think because I think I do that a lot. I apologize for like things that I'm like, I don't necessarily have control over it, but I'm like, I'm still sorry. And it's like, I shouldn't be sorry, because like I said, I have no control over it. Things just happen. You know, we can't control everything, or we can't say, oh, well, in 5 minutes, my dad's gonna come out here and he's just gonna start talking to you guys. Like, I can't control, like, if my dad does that he does that, but I can't, you know, control it and say, like, you know, 5 minutes, we got 5 minutes before he walks out here and we have to listen to him talk about his bell peppers. You know, like, we can't do that. So
Yeah, then there's some students who I've had on Zoom where they go off on their parents, and I'm like, damn, like I wish I was in that boat, because you know it's different. Like they can, like, I don't know. I have some students like, mom, like get away, like I'm in class, and I'm like, damn, like I wish I was able to do that.
Chancla, no.
Yeah, like that is not the same for me. Like I have to put everything on pause. I have to stop my video, and I have to pay attention to what my mom needs, because
yes.
Yeah, I feel that with my daughter too sometimes. I'm like, no, time out. You want to do this real fast?
Yeah, definitely.
I would also like to real fast just kind of put forward to as of I can't say the word.
Compartmentalize.
There we go.
I have to break it down and like say it piece every time. That's why I'm like, every time I read it, I have to look at it and like, I'm like, compartmentalize. Okay, that's the word.
Yeah, so that, but to kind of shift away to of dealing with being at home and being at work and working home and all these things. Yeah, I'm definitely not in the house bored, so that song's BS to me. I'm like constantly busy. So anyways, my kid's bored as hell, but not me. But anyways, is allowing yourself space as well to take care of yourself. And we hear that a lot in the way of like doing things for your mental health. And I think that's extremely important. So I like to offer other ways of remembering how to take care of yourself, because now I've pushed back my dentist appointments. Now I've pushed back like other appointments that I know are very important to me. And that's actually for my physical health and my mental health to keep those up. And so trying to, for 2 weeks, I tried to carve out time to just call my dentist, and I never did. And so I was like, okay, so when I was talking to my friends about it, I was like, not only do we talk about things of how we all need to make sure that we are seeking out counselors in this time, we're all dealing with things. Not only are we dealing things on a grand scale of like the nation, right? Like we said before, right? The pandemic, virus, election, but like literally everyone is going through something, right? We're all going through stuff. And so making sure I'm carving out time to find a counselor. It's like dating, you have to find a good one that matches you. Who? The Johns. Okay, thank you. Yeah, baby. Yeah. So yeah, so allowing myself time to make the other appointments that maybe aren't fun, but at the same time, right? Like I know I need to get those done and continue to promote my own health first. So I just wanted to throw that in there because I know sometimes we don't like to talk about those kinds of things.
That's good to add because, we don't take into account like those things sometimes. Because I know for me, I can kind of relate to how you said like you carved out time in like 2 weeks, you still didn't get to call your dentist. And that's kind of how I was with going to get just like my annual checkup with my doctor. And like I kept putting it off and like they kept calling me and I was like not answering because I'm like, I don't want to deal with this one right now. But, it's like we have to. So I can definitely relate.
It feels, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I feel like we're all balancing, we're all juggling different parts of our lives and our personal relationships, our work relationships all the time, right? Pre-COVID, pre this crap year. And now I'm really trying to spin it as a positive, like to give myself the love to show all those things I'm juggling out. And how am I trying to explain it? Like, Vanessa, when you said like when you're at work, like if we were at work, we would just be at work and your daughter wouldn't be there. And now like you're able to show people like these are the many layers I have going on. When you talk about finding a counselor, like it's just on my calendar now. Like, hey, these are the days, like I can't meet with you then because I have therapy then. And just trying to give myself like, when I think about other people doing that, I feel really supportive. I feel like good for you. Like, I'm so proud of you. When I think about doing it myself, I'm like, oh no, you can't like put that. And just like shifting trying to look at it as like a positive opportunity for me to say like, these are all my layers. These are all the things I have going on. Here's my calendar. If we can meet and make it happen, we will. But now that I live at work, all of those things, I guess I'm learning how to be proud or learning how to just put them out there and say, this is what I've got going on.
Yeah. Sorry, all my beeps, all my emails. Like, I swear I thought I turned off my notifications and they still just come. And but no, definitely, I love that though. Like being transparent in those things and finding community in that transparency of sameness and a lot of those things we don't talk about if we were at work too, right? Because we actually are on Zoom, being able to talk about those more. Yeah, definitely. I love that.
Yeah. So question number 3 is, are you able to teach everything in your courses that you normally could if we were in person?
Yes. And also teaching about white supremacy and white privilege and the settler state and really concerning topics for other peoples that really, shock them to their core. Sometimes it's extremely hard to really get to the meat of it through Zoom because my pedagogical style is routinely discussion based and lateral learning. So if I brought up a topic, we all talked about the topic and how we experienced it. You're hearing it not just from your professor, you're hearing it from the other, 10, 30 people in the room, right? We're having a discussion about it. But then when I'm talking about white supremacy and putting it on a module, I do have a fear of it not really, it's only coming from my even though I'm citing a bunch of sources, like it's only coming from your professor. It's easy. I try to add in discussion boards and things like that, but I feel like some of the stuff that I teach about, which is extremely, I wouldn't say it's difficult to teach about. I would say it's easier to teach in person with conversation than just here's a bunch of stuff to read about what this means. I do feel like that is lost in some of the translation. Although my students have been doing great with it. I actually thought I was going to have a lot more problems with it, and I actually haven't. So maybe it's still getting to them. I fear that the discussion-based parts of it feel like they're lacking, which is how I teach. In a lot of my classes, I do a lot of field trips. I get them out of the classroom. I also try to promote my classes. So if y'all want to take my classes, no. So I'm trying to incorporate ways of continually to navigate through that. So for example, in my introduction to Native American Studies class, I have them do a tour of the campus with the Native students that talk about the Native landmarks on campus. And so we talk about the Tree of Peace. So if y'all don't know what the Tree of Peace is, right? There's a Tree of Peace on campus. There is a huge history of the Nome Cult Trail, which is the, I hate comparing, but often just for the sake of time, comparing it to the Trail of Tears. And we had a Trail of Tears at Chico. They removed the Machupta in a horrible, terrible way. And so talking about the campus actually being in the way of that. And then also we go to the Bidwell mansion and we completely break down the settler colonialism around Bidwell and how we promote him as this really great figure, but then there's all this, colonialism that he projected and violence on Native peoples. And so normally we're outside doing these conversations and we did it online, and it worked. So we are finding ways. So I still had the Native students come in and Lily and Cole, do a walk through like the virtual campus, which was awesome. It seemed like it was still very impactful. So I would say there are things that are still working out really well, but you never know.
Yeah.
So
what is the Tree of Peace? I don't know what that is.
So the Tree of Peace is right outside of Trinity Hall, and so anyways, there was a Mohawk scholar that went across the campuses, different campuses, and planted the Tree of Peace on a lot of different campuses. So there's actually a lot of campuses with a Tree of Peace. Mm-hmm. The one at Chico State has a very unique history. There is talks about how in the 1990s, when a group of Native peoples came to dance on campus, they were getting changed in the baseball locker rooms. And there was a lot of racial things thrown at them and epithets and saying that, just negative stuff that had happened in the locker room from the baseball team and the Native people getting ready for their dance. And a lot of racism. And so there was a bad taste in the mouth of Native people's we don't want to actually participate with anything on campus anymore because of this negative experience. Not just this one, but this huge one that happened. And then of course, all of the history there. Mm-hmm. And they had a ceremony where they buried the hatchet. So they actually buried a hatchet and put the Tree of Peace on top of that to kind of signify that we are trying to grow better relationships between the Native nations surrounding campus and then also with campus. And I think that's really powerful. Of course, the plaque there is very small and non-descriptive of what I just talked about. But I think that it's really important to kind of reiterate those histories and tell people. So thank you for asking me about that.
Yeah, definitely. Because I know we have a lot of history, Native history, in Chico and then on campus. So any opportunity to learn about something I didn't know. Because this is my third year at Chico State and I didn't even know we had that until you just said it just now. So it's definitely always good to just learn new stuff, especially stuff that is super important to specific people and cultures, and it's a big thing in Chico. And that was one of the first things that they told us was that as a freshman and during summer bridge was that Chico was on Native land. And then so I always thought that was really cool. So learning new things about that is always interesting to me. So yeah, thank you for telling me. I'm glad I asked.
I'm super curious now. Do you allow students to audit your class? To not take it for credit, but to take it to learn?
Yeah.
Because I'm a staff member and I don't need it for a transcript or anything, but that sounds super cool.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely allow people to audit my class. The only fear I have of saying completely yes, which I always say yes, is just the AB 1460 of now the classes being extremely impacted. So I'm not sure about what that will look like, but I will definitely, I'm willing to work anything out with students for sure. I just put something in the chat. It's nativeland.com, but it's a really cool tool to kind of see where you're at or whose land you're on, which I actually was going to say in the beginning and I forgot. So I'm actually glad that we brought it up and talked about this. So thank you. But right now I'm actually on Miwok, Maidu, and Nisenan land, which are the native people from Sacramento. So
That's good to know. I'm definitely gonna look at that afterwards. I want to know like everything about every time I go somewhere. I'm like, let me see whose land I'm actually on.
There's
today.
actually a phone number you can text now, which is really cool. I've never actually done it, but you just text which city, county you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Text message rates may apply, so do not come for me later. But yeah, I've heard that this phone number will text you back. ? But anywho, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's good to know. Thank you for sharing that. So our last question that we came up with for you is, what do you do to get ready or quote unquote pregame for your classes or work meetings or anything that has to do with Zoom?
My aesthetic is my pregame. My lipstick is my mood ring. The last meeting I went, I wasn't playing. I wore like almost black lipstick. I'm like, I'm not fucking with you. I put on the biggest earrings I had. I put my chains on. Like, no, like I will not stand for. There was a lot of BS that was happening, and so yeah, no, I put my eyeliner like, you know. So I really feel like sometimes that's my best pregame or go-to of centering myself, sometimes of putting on my lipsticks and my earrings and really feeling like, yeah, you're not gonna be able to push me over. I am a new faculty, I'm a new professor, I am very new to all of this, and the amount of pressures I have to be, like I said before, in all of these committees and meetings, and people look to me. I've been in places, yeah, that people I felt like I've been pushed around, or like not physically but metaphorically, and so yeah, I won't stand for it. So I do come with that. That's why I wore my big sparkly ones for y'all. So these are my nice ones. Non-threatening. But yeah, no, just I think that, because I was thinking about that question a lot, and sometimes, jumping into my classrooms, I got to set the tone, I got to set the mood. And so, I'm not going to show up to class, like Joanne was saying, like in my bed, or like in a place that's like, slouched over. So I'm going to try to like bring the precedent of, standing up or like sitting up, or, presenting. Not saying I have full makeup on every time. Like, that's not a thing. Like, I'm not trying to promote that or say that, but saying that sometimes how I pregame for myself is kind of getting myself there ready. So yeah, that's my fun example of that.
Yeah.
What about y'all? Y'all have to pregame to get ready for classes and these meetings. And I know, Liliana, that you're saying like how you have to go outside, which I totally need to take on. That is something that I'm taking away from this. My next meeting, I'm going outside. But what about y'all? What do you do to get ready or pregame?
I think I always have to wash my face, like before any meeting. I'm like, let me just wash my face, get rid of the last meeting, the last class I was in. Let me wash my face and, get ready to go outside and let the breeze hit the cold face again and wake up all over.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So I started doing that a couple weeks ago. But before that, I would just like, I don't think I had a pregame. I was just like, all right, let me open this computer and sit here and like I would like talk to myself. I think that, I guess you could say, that was my pregame. I would talk to myself and kind of work myself up to like be on Zoom and actually have my camera on and engage in the conversation like I would if I was in person.
Yeah, no, it's great. Anybody else?
I think my pregame is just getting a snack or something, because I'll be forgetting to eat just throughout the day. So just really finding time where to eat and just snack on stuff.
That's really important, because there's been times I've came out of this office hangry as hell, and like damn girl, like we haven't seen you all day. I'm like, I'm just hungry.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I do the same. I get a big cup of coffee, something to snack on, and then I fill up this massive cup with water, And if I drink it all through the day, then I'm okay. Like, okay, I got at least some water inside my body today.
Yes. I like that. I think I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna start having snacks. I'm gonna have a tray of snacks.
No, for real.
Just so I'm prepared. Anybody else?
Hey, can you tell us about this assembly bill and how it's affecting your work? It's an assembly bill, yeah? AB?
Yeah, so 1460 is the new graduation requirement for all CSU students to take ethnic studies. And it's interesting in the way that the chancellor and the law have kind of required different things. And so a lot of the CSUs are trying to figure out now how to implement this bill. And it sounds like something that's very easy, that we are going to create an ethnic studies requirement, which is great, right? We should all take ethnic studies so we graduate. It's fantastic. But at the same time, the implementation or how to implement this bill on all these different campuses is what's really kind of falling apart in different ways, to be the most brief about it. What we are seeing right now, because in the spirit of the bill is to build up ethnic studies. What we are seeing now is departments like history, anthropology, sociology, the ones that have been traditionally funded and very well off and have tenure track faculty instead of like 2 like MCGS. We're seeing a lot of people say, oh, I also teach ethnic studies. I also, I teach ethnic studies in my history class or in my anthropology class. And it's like, well, you might, which is great. But this bill is for ethnic studies classes. And so what we're seeing here is what I've heard a dean call, which I kind of don't like, but like a land grab. So we're seeing a lot of people, coming in saying that I teach ethnic studies too. And it's like, that's great. Keep doing that. I'm glad that you have BIPOC authors in your syllabi. You should. And it's really interesting that now everyone's trying to say that their classes should be part of the ethnic studies requirement instead of being like, wow, actually we should build up the ethnic studies department. And so that is what on top of being one of the only people of color in a lot of the committees I sit on anyways, this one in particular is something that was like, I have to be on this committee because they're going to make decisions about, and I'm just starting off my career in ethnic studies. So this is going to affect me for the next, however many years. And that's the experience of what I've been dealing with a lot in the last couple of weeks, and it's really trying to roll out this system-wide how we're going to implement it in like 2 weeks. So they're like, okay, and go. And so yeah, that's what I mean by a lot of what I was talking about, the cultural tax and like what's happening right now with this bill and this idea that anyone can teach ethnic studies. Because I feel like if it was a sociology bill, a history bill, an English bill, like ethnic studies would never be like, oh, you should ask us how we teach it, right? Or like we also teach those things in in the classes. And so that's a lot of the interesting stuff that's been happening around this bill lately. So fun stuff.
Do you feel that it's difficult to advocate for your goals and for what you're representing when we're online? I would just be like really frustrating.
Yes, really frustrating.
Yeah.
Which that was the thing I was talking about with my really huge hoops and my dark lipstick and my hair really high, like really.
I get it.
That was the one I was like, oh. But yeah, no, it's these meetings have now like just continually to add on and just multiply. And so now before you know it, we're sitting on like 10 hours a week on just this instance, or on this focus. So but yeah, that's what I wanted to kind of say about AB. So if y'all are seeing this around, make sure y'all put it out there that we want to build up ethnic studies departments. We want to get African American higher, because how do we not have African American tenure track faculty in MCGS? How do we not have Asian American tenure track faculty in American Indians or in multicultural and gender studies? So it's something that I will say it's what the department has often talked about. So these are things that the department isn't also feeling as well. So
let's not all of that.
So we need to, really push the university to give us those hires. we're tired of struggling as a department, and I'm only here 1 year, or I've only been here 1 year. So yeah, I'm really hoping.
Completely agree with that.
So if y'all have any questions for me or anything else, I feel like I took away a lot of stuff from this conversation, so I really learned a lot, and I really appreciate y'all inviting me and letting me talk about all the things. So
Yes. Well, we don't have any more questions that like we came up with as the Star Center. So if anybody on this Zoom meeting has any questions for Vanessa, feel free to ask. We still have 7 minutes allotted time, so feel free to ask any questions.
What classes are you teaching next semester?
I'm teaching Introduction to Multicultural and Gender Studies. I'm teaching Introduction to Women's Studies, which will be the first time I'm teaching that. And then I'm teaching Federal Indian Law and Sovereignty. So if y'all are interested in law, we go pretty hard in the paint. It's a 400 level class, but let me tell you, it's fun.
Oh, I wish I would have took it. I take women's studies this semester. I wish I would took it too.
Yes, you have a great professor. Like I would love
Yeah.
like your energy, even just on Zoom. Like I love when professors have like this type of energy on Zoom. It just makes me want to be engaged with the class even more.
Yeah,
So
no, I love.
I might take women's studies next semester.
Well, I hope to see y'all there. And then, of course, for auditing classes, you can definitely reach out, Kelly and Mariana. Like, please.
Please.
I mean, I feel like it just benefits the campus and every way, and it builds relationships. And sometimes you can just look through the syllabus and say if you want to like pop in on certain classes too. So for sure, I'm definitely open.
That's good. Does anybody have any more questions for Vanessa?
I texted the number and it replied to me.
They didn't?
Oh, nice.
They did.
Oh, what'd
And
they say?
Yeah. I don't know how to pronounce these. But I guess I sit on 3 different there's 3. It's I think Achaman, the Keech, and the Tongva land.
Oh, in LA?
Yeah, in Orange County.
Yeah, very nice. It's interesting, just real fast to like maybe wrap up the conversation. California's got over 150, like 200 native tribes in California.
Oh wow.
And the ones who are not recognized are the tribes that are in LA, which is the Tongva, the Ohlone, in San Francisco. And it's interesting why those tribes specifically are not recognized because of land. We see this also in Seattle, Washington, who's actually the city is named after Chief Seattle from the Duwamish tribe, and the Duwamish are not federally recognized. And so we see these 3 huge places, and the tribes aren't federally recognized, and that's on purpose. My tribe is not also federally recognized, which is in Hayfork, but we don't have like the land base like Frisco and LA do. So just a fun fact to kind of say like, hey, the government's up to stuff with Native peoples and not recognizing our sovereignty, which is why you should take the Federal Indian Law Sovereignty class.
Yes.
Sorry. Last plug.
Guys, it's okay.
But great. All right, y'all. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for coming and talking to us about school, Zoom, everything, just everything. We thank you a lot.
Thank you all. All right.
Thanks,
Don't
y'all.
forget, y'all to reach out.
Yes, don't forget to reach out to her.
All right, y'all. I'll talk to y'all later.
All right, bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.